Significant.
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 Welcome to Significant Life, the podcast for women who want to live, lead, and serve from an anchored place. I'm your host, Janice Anderson, wife, mother of three, CEO, and lover of all things Jesus. I firmly believe that strong women need an even stronger support system. So whether you need to get it done or come undone, this is a place where you can do it all without second guessing who you are, disconnecting from those you love, or undervaluing your irreplaceable contribution to the world. Regardless of what you're facing, this I know for sure. You were created to live and enjoy a significant life. Let's dive into today's episode. For now, I want you to tell people about you, tell them who you are, what you got going on, and then I'm going to dive right into our conversation.
Awesome. Well, again, I'm looking forward to this. So thank you for having me, Janice. As you stated, my name is Christine St. Bill. I'm known online as Moms in Charge. And that's because I started blogging in 2012 to help moms feel good without feeling guilty and to help them realize that they can go after their goals and dreams in addition to being an amazing mom, wife, business leader, anything that they want to have going on. And I'm also the founder of The Social Scoop, which is an agency that I started to help brands really learn how to leverage the power of social media and be able to scale their content and their brand on social.
Girl, I love that. Let me tell you something. You are a bad chick. Do you hear me? First of all, let's just talk about the fact that mamas need to feel good without feeling guilty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that, girl, that's why I got you here. So Christine, as we're talking about I don't want to, let me do this. Let me not brush past the fact that she's a mom that helps other moms feel good without feeling guilty while she's running a profitable social media agency. So The Social Scoop, can you just tell us a little bit about some of the clients that you serve and some of the stuff that you do? Because you made it sound like, oh, and I got a social media agency. Oh, that's cute. Okay, tell us what you do.
You are funny. Okay, so my work with brands, and I've been able to work with some pretty amazing ones. It started with my blog. So I am a homeschool mom. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Nope.
But my husband and I have been homeschooling our children. They are 10, 12, and 14. Since my son, who's the oldest, was in kindergarten. He is clutching pearls, an 8th grader, which means he'll be going into high school in the fall.
Oh my gosh.
Fall.
Oh my gosh.
Marinate on that for a second. I can't. And so, yes, so during the time when I had left my corporate job and became a stay-at-home mom, blogging was a way that I connected with other parents, other moms, just kind of an outlet for me. And so I had to learn how to use social media because I wanted more than just my mom and my sisters reading the blog. So that's really how things started. Just, hey, I'm going to get on social, met some amazing people, and through my blog have worked with some phenomenal brands.
Can you tell us a couple of them, please?
I can. I have, and honestly, like my kids have been able to travel. Even their first international trip was with Beaches Resorts in Turks and Caicos because I was invited to a social media event that was invite only. And so Beaches, I've worked with them. I've worked with Disney. I just wrapped up a campaign with Disney. And I also just wrapped up a campaign with SurveyMonkey. I've worked with AT&T. I have worked with, who else have I worked with? I've worked with several people. Also some clients, some celebrity clients that I don't normally put out there, but but I have worked with some pretty awesome clients as well as brands over the years.
I'm so excited about that. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. 2 reasons I wanted you to share that. One, I want our audience to know that it's not like you're doing this small thing on the side, while you're raising your kids. Like it's really a big thing, making a big impact in the world. And then also I feel like often women like us, we are doing amazing things and we struggle to talk about it and to really say what it is that we do. And so I want to get in the practice of doing that and then having the women in my life do it as well. So thank you for sharing that. So Christine, you're welcome. Christine, so you're amazing. You're running this business. You're being a mom, a homeschooling mom of 3. Girl, listen, I got 3 kids too, but I'm not homeschooling, not now one of them. Do you hear me? And you're a wife. And so I want to ask, with with those roles alone, not Christine, the girlfriend, not Christine, the sister, not Christine, the auntie. I ain't even talking about none of that, Christine. I'm just talking about those 3 roles right there. My question to you is this: how do you stay anchored?
That's a great question, Janice. And honestly, it all boils down to my faith. I mean, there's, just in marriage alone, but I think, understanding who I am and whose I am, I think that sounds cliche, but anytime, for example, I'm grateful that, my husband and I, we still celebrate our dating anniversary, which is coming up on Monday. And we've been together, it'll be 23 years.
Wow.
23 or 24 years that we've been together, and we've been married 16 years. Even early on when we had our kids, obviously when they're younger, it's a lot harder to, say, okay, we come first, in a marriage. But we've always demonstrated to our kids that, like, we're not playing that, pinning parents, mom and dad against each other. Like, no, we come first and then we can serve you guys, right? And so we've always kind of had that agreement, that partnership, with the kids, that this is who we are. And so for me, I think it's my faith in God, it's prayer. It's also making sure that we're on the same page, when it comes to parenting. If we have an agreement, like, we talk about it. Sometimes we might have to take a break, but we do take time to talk about it, right? And then, even if it's something the kids want to do and there's an issue that we're having there, we say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, what are your thoughts about this? When it comes to parenting, it is, especially now, because they're all really busy. They're in sports. They have all these interests. I mean, it can be a lot. But, I think at the end of the day, it's having those conversations, especially conversations that neither my husband or I had with our parents growing up. They're in that teen years where they're finding out stuff, and now in the social media technology age where they can find out stuff before we even have a chance to talk about it. But it's having those open conversations and asking them questions and letting them know that, hey, no matter what, like, you can always come to mommy and daddy to talk to us.
I love that. I really love that. Man, you said so much. I want to just reiterate a few things and call out a few things that you said for our audience. The thing that I love most is that, so I condensed it down to a couple of P's. You said that you stay anchored because, and especially with one, because of your faith. So your faith is what you're anchored in, your faith. And I know that because you're my friend. And and I'm glad that you said that, but you also said that when it comes to your marriage, that you all prioritize the marriage. And that is a lot of times, especially when we have kids, it's so easy to be so overwhelmed and inundated with the children that the marriage is on the back burner. And so I love that you said that you and your husband prioritize marriage and y'all celebrating your dating anniversary. Girl, let me tell you something. The way I was acting so stank with my husband when I was dating him, I don't even know how we got married, because it was the whole Holy Ghost, the reason why we got married, because we both were just acting, we were about to sabotage the relationship. So I don't know if I can, I probably need to celebrate. Our anniversary needs to be the day he proposed, because that's when I start acting right.
There you go. You can create a new dating anniversary.
Yes, I'm gonna tell him now. As soon as we get off, I'm gonna say, honey, we need another anniversary. He's gonna be like, oh, I need another gift. No. I'm just saying, I just want to celebrate with you. So I love that you. That's right. I love that, and I love that you all celebrated. And I saw the joy in your face when you talked about it. And then the other thing that you said, the other P that I pulled out, is that you make sure that you're on the same page. And a lot of times as couples, it's so difficult to get on the same page when you don't have the mindset that this is important, that we stop and we get on the same page. In my business, I talk about getting on the same page when I'm leading leaders and helping them with their teams. And I said, oh, that's a physical page. So we need a piece of paper. And let's just write this stuff down and make sure that we're in agreement. So I love that. And then, girl, them darn conversations with these kids. So you hear me? So you said prioritizing each other, making sure that we're on the same page, and then making it comfortable to have open conversations. That's not a P. I couldn't come up with a P that quick, but I do love that. I love that you are making space for conversations, not just with you and your husband, but you, your husband, and your children. That is so good. And I think that is key.
Hard. Because again, like I said, and I, probably experienced something similar, but my parents ain't talked to us about sex and boys, and it was none of that.
Girl, and the stuff that they're talking about now, and we're going to dive into this parenting conversation, the stuff that the kids are talking about now, girl, we weren't even thinking about that stuff. And so you have to be ahead of it. You can't bury your head in the sand if you want to be an intentional parent. And that's why I had you on, Christine, because what I've been saying to audiences as I've been getting people excited about our upcoming experience together is one thing I love about Christine is intentionally parenting her kids. How do I know? Because we talk about it. The kids are busy. They're in sports. They're in activities. They're doing things. They're changing their minds about the things that they're doing. Girl, these are just changing their minds, and then they're every which way. And I'm like, Christine, girl, what are you doing about this? And you're like, girl, we're dealing with the same thing. And now, this was so good to know that there are other intentional parents out there that are facing these same things. And part of it is just making the space to face it. To face that this is the text message that came through, or this is what was happening on social media, and to deal with it. And I want to ask you this though, because our parents didn't have the conversations with us, partly because some of the stuff that we're dealing with, they didn't have to deal with. Number two, I believe our parents didn't have the conversation with us because it was difficult. And it was easier to say, do what I say and be quiet. So, Christine, how do you and your husband process through the difficultness, if that's a thing, the difficulty of these conversations?
It's a lot. So, if you've never met my husband, number one, he's a jokester. Like to this day, even we've been together 23 or so years, but we were friends for 4 years prior to us even, dating. And so he's always invoked like humor into everything, even when stuff isn't funny, and you're just like, how are we finding a way? So generally that's how everything starts. It's like, okay, let's have this conversation. Like, what are we gonna do about this? Like, even recently, the other day, I had to tell him that he needed to have a conversation with our son about like proper undergarments, when he's playing basketball and stuff.
I love that. I love it.
And he was just like, okay, I get it. And I was like, no, this is your department, sir. Like, I have the conversations with the girls on the other stuff. We didn't, I created like, first period boxes.
Right. We had a whole, listen, first of all, I got all girls. So I don't get to defer nothing to my husband when I have all the conversations, and he's coming to tell me stuff like, honey, so did you see that? You want to talk to her about that? Like, I'm always getting you want to talk to her about that? I'll get you talk to her about it. But but we do. But what I love though is this. I love that you all can say, this is your department. I love that we can say, okay, I'm gonna let you handle that because you're going to do a better job. I do love that. I do love it. And you sounds like you guys have the same kind of connection my husband and I have when I feel like this needs to be a joint department because you need to be saying some words too, sir. So yes, I know they're girls.
We had lots of joint department conversation.
That's good. Because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of marriages, we know a lot of couples is, their gender roles and their expectations that are sometimes expressed. A lot of times they're not expressed. And there's a lot of pressure on one parent to do the parenting. And so I love that you all are doing this together. So now that's how you stay anchored. Let me just ask you this. How do you recognize when you're not anchored? How do you recognize? What are some...
girl, like, because I have an attitude. I go from 0 to 100 real quick, and I have to like, okay, what's that about? Okay, I've got a lot on my plate. or okay, I put too much, or I said yes to some things that I probably should have put on the back burner. And the thing about it is my husband is he's very patient. So, but then it gets to a point where like he won't say anything for a very, very long time. And then by the time he does, it's because of all this other stuff.
Well, then there's that. Hello, have you met Maurice? Thank you. Sounds like Bill and Maurice are the same. Okay.
Let's be the same. So it's gotten better over the years. And so a lot of times it'll be like, if we recognize it, he knows that he just needs to step away, and then we'll come back from a conversation. And when I see that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to push it right now. We got to take a break. Mm-hmm. And then we'll come together when we both had a chance to kind of dissect things and figure out how we want to approach it. But like when I realize that I'm not anchored, like I have to take a step back, like, and just take some time to process things. And then also a lot of times when it comes to the kids, like, that's one of the things that we didn't hear growing up was, I'm sorry, or, admitting to being wrong. Yeah. And so that's something we both had to kind of, work through as well. But we know that it's important because we're not always right.
Right. But there are times when we're not. How about that?
There are times when we're not. And our kids need to hear that. And they need to not only hear when we're wrong, but being able to admit it so that now they're feeling like they can trust us, because how can we say, oh, you can come to us and you can talk to us about anything, but then it's like they're never heard. So even during the times where they get in trouble for something that they clearly were wrong for, we still are like, no, please speak your piece. Like, we want to hear how you were feeling, what's going through your head right now. How do you think this should be handled? Or because again, we want them to be able to make better decisions. Mm-hmm. And they really can't learn how to make better decisions if we're just always talking at them and throwing stuff at them and making all the decisions for them and telling them this is how they should, So we're learning in the process. We're growing up with our children.
Listen, hello. Listen, can I go ahead and let me just drop this nugget that Christine just went ahead and told us. Okay, so for every parent that is out here, all of us in the parent space, you are not grown up until you grow up with your children. You're going to grow up, even if you were grown before they got here. Maurice and I are 44 and 53 with a whole 2-year-old. When I tell you we growing up every day, we are growing up just when we think we know what we're doing with life. This little girl, she ain't but 2. And then the 13-year-old comes here, and just when we think we got this thing wrapped up, oh no. This is parenting. I like to say like this, parenting is a contact sport. It's full body contact sport, and you are continuously learning. So it requires all of who you are, and you're going to be continuously learning if you want to be an intentional parent. I want to back up and pull out a couple more things that you said, and then we got to get ready to go because hello, people, if you want to continue this conversation with Christina and I, y'all want to join us for the masterclass coming up on April 30th, OMG. It's going to be so, so amazing. I'll show you the details at the end of this episode. For those of you who are watching, they'll be on your screen. For those of you who are listening, I'll tell you all about it. Christine, okay. So you just said, girl, this was so, so good. So one of the things that you said, I got the third P. So the third P, first, you rely on your faith. That's one thing. Number 2, prioritize your marriage. Number 3, you get on the same page. And number 4, you make room for peace, because that open conversations is the opportunity for them to speak their piece. I just took the words that you said and said it back to you. And I love that because you do it even with your children. And so you make space for them to be heard. And it's so important. And I wasn't raised like that. I think that's why I talk so much now or write so much now, because my mom was definitely quick to tell me to be quiet, and she didn't say be quiet. And she said something else. It wasn't no cuss word, but I ain't gonna say it on the podcast. And I was like always writing. Since I can't talk it out, I'm gonna write it out. And as soon as I got a chance to talk, I was talking ever since, hence the podcast. So I'm glad that you are offering this for your children. But what I want to say, and I hope other women can realize this. When I asked Christine, how does she know when she's not anchored? Her response was, when I put too much on my plate, when I got a lot going on. Now, she did tell us she's on 10. You know, I got an attitude, I'm on 10, but the cause of her not being anchored is taking on too much. And I wanted that to sit with the ladies because that happens for a lot of us. I instantly lose my anchor when I put on more than I have the grace for in this season. Christine, you know, I like to say, I like to live my life at the pace of grace. So what grace do I have right now? I might have the grace to launch this podcast, have the grace to run my membership, or not. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm operating outside of my grace zone, I start losing my ability to be anchored. So, Christine, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. There's so much more we could be talking about. There's so much more I know that you can add to the audience, but I want to save it for our time together in our masterclass. I got a couple of more things I want to ask you as you leave us with some last words as we go and try our best to live our significant life, because my significant life may not look like Christine's. And my anchored place is not the same as Christine's anchored place, which is what I want to ask you. Christine, what is your anchored place?
You said, what is my anchored place?
Mm-hmm. What is your anchored place? What does that look like? Mm-hmm.
My anchored place really is, I would say I'm anchored right now, even though I haven't necessarily reached all of the goals that I want and I know that I can accomplish. I feel at peace because of not only the strides that I'm looking to get there, but also because I'm doing it in a way that feels good. I'm doing it in a way that honors my family, my husband. I'm doing it in a way that gives me joy. And so I would say I'm in my anchored place.
I love that. I love that. Christine, one of the things you said when you and I were talking just offline, I think on Friday, you know, we were going in drinking coffee and just talking, and you said, oh yeah, that's not my goal. We were talking about one of our colleagues has had this enormous goal. And he's like, oh, that's not my goal. Yeah, I just want to be able to take trips, hang out with my family, be present with my husband. And I was like, I love that. And so to hear you say your anchored place is when you can honor your family, you know, when you can honor yourself, when you are being able to be present and have joy. And I think that's important for us as women to know, what is my anchored place? You know, for me, I just need a cup of coffee. Hello. You know, if I could get my coffee, I know I'm serious about that coffee now. If I could have some warm, hot coffee, you know, and I'm right here, I got my heater on underneath my desk. My husband is good. My kids are good. And listen, it doesn't mean that we don't have any problems, but they're all manageable in the moment. And even if I don't have the answer, I know who does. I'm good. And so I think it's so good that you said that. And I love that because it's not some place that's afar off, but it's right there. I love that. Okay. Last couple of things. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question. It's not serious, but it's serious to me. What is your go-to lipstick?
Girl. Well, as you know, I love lipstick and lashes.
I know.
One of the ones that I'm wearing now, which is funny, I collaborated on a lipstick line with my dear friend. She's the founder of Babs Beauty. And we collaborated on 6 lipsticks. So the one I have on now is Candy Apple Red.
It's so pretty.
Thank you. And I just love, so between Babs and, oh gosh, I just drew a blank on one of my favorite brands too.
While you think of that, and we'll drop Babs's information inside the show notes. We'll drop the link in the show notes so you can make sure you order you some Babs, because that candy apple is looking so cute, girl. And what's your favorite lash? My favorite
lash. So there's some lashes I love from Sassy Jones. And then funny enough, I also collaborated on some Christine lashes with Babs Beauty. So
that's right.
So I have lashes that I love a good lash.
I know you do. I know you do. Girl, I love, and see, people may not know that about me. That's why I was like, okay, I'm so glad that we now have video version of the podcast so they can know I love lipstick and lashes. And so you're the first person to know that I'm.
That's why we're here.
I know, girl. We need a good lippy. Awesome. All right, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us today. As we end our part of the conversation, I want to ask you this because I'm pretty sure you're not often asked this question because strong women aren't often asked this question, but I wanted to ask you, what do you need right now?
Oh, that's a good question, Janice. What do I need right now? What do I need right now? Like personally, professionally?
Whatever. It's your choice.
What do I need right now? That's a good question. I would say what I need right now, if I think about, because my professional goals tie into my personal, and I'll just share, as I'm trying to be more efficient and intentional with our homeschooling, especially with our son going into high school, I want to be able to free up more of my time with work. And so one of the things that I'm looking for and need right now is a really, really amazing project manager that understands social media so that they can do a lot of the onboarding things that I do with clients that take up the majority of my time so that I can then carve out more time than I am now with the kids and their schoolwork. So
we love that. We love it. So our whole Significant Life community is going to stand behind you with our prayers and our actions to pray for more time in the way of an amazing project manager who can support the vision and goals of Social Scoop, right? Is it for Social Scoop? Okay, yeah, for Social Scoop, so that Christine can be present with her son and homeschooling with her daughters too, because she has 2 girls and a boy, because I didn't say that. All right, so Christine, thank you so much. I appreciate having you with us today. And so for the rest of you, stay tuned for the show notes where you can learn more about Christine St. Ville and what all she has going on. She will be joining us this upcoming April 30th for our Significant Life Masterclass, where we're going to talk about how to create and cultivate life-giving relationships. And Christine is going to be talking about parenting, passionate marriage, and profitability. How do you do it all? Girl, I can't wait to talk more about that. All right. So if you want to know how to join us, if you're watching live, you'll see at the bottom of the screen what's coming up now is the link to register. Go to www.mysignificantlife.org/masterclass. That's mysignificantlife.org/masterclass. We will love to have you there. Bring a girlfriend with you. This is going to be amazing. It's April 30th. You can watch it from the comfort of your home or in your car. You don't want to watch it in your car. You want to be somewhere where you can write and you can really enjoy the day. And it's our opportunity to go deep dive as women in a community of like-minded women. And girl, let's just learn how to create these relationships and cultivate these relationships. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.